Introducing the latest Warframe, Jade, and she's pregnant. I'm not kidding. She's the first pregnant Warframe. I seriously have no idea. What's good, folks? It's Nightmare Frame here with a new Warframe video coming at you with a Jade guide. First, how to farm this frame. There's an easy 100% guaranteed drop chance to get the full frame in 1 second, and all you have to do is go right here and just get her. Any other way is inefficient and would be a waste of time. Moving on to important things. What type of frame is she? To be honest, she is a mixed bag, with a lot of things going on in her kit, and one of the frames in a long time that has all their abilities work really well with each other that improve her overall performance. But I will say one thing, she won't be everyone's cup of tea. Starting off with her passive, she's the first Warframe in the game to have 2 aura slots. Reason being is because she's pregnant with a Warframe baby, so she's eating for 2. And her abilities have a mechanic that apply judgment stacks. These judgment stacks will have enemies take more damage from you, as it applies a damage vulnerability. Onto her abilities. Light Judgment. Her first ability. Jade deploys a pool of light that damages enemies over time, while also making them vulnerable as they're marked by judgment marks. She can have a max of 5 judgment deployments at a time, and allies who step into this pool gain a healing over time buff that remains there indefinitely until you step off of it. Then it goes on a countdown. This does have line of sight issues when it comes to dealing damage and marking enemies. Her second ability, Symphony of Mercy, as Jade utilizes 3 buffs that you can cycle between in the form of songs. These buffs affect Jade and her allies. Power of 7 increases strength for everybody, and that strength also scales off of strength. So adding strength will improve how much strength you can get. Deathbringer gives you a weapon damage buff. This is not Eclipse, this is not Roar, and Spirit of Resilience grants you shield regen per second, while also reducing the shield recharge delay. Casting any of these abilities will grant you iframe, so it's a great way for, reactivating some survivability. On top of that, when you kill enemies affected by judgments, it refreshes the duration of these buffs. Aphanum Eyes, her third ability. Jade summons all-seeing eyes with a conical shape field of view that slows enemies in their tracks while also stripping them of their defenses. This ability isn't an instant slow or a strip, but a stacking debuff. And it also deals a little bit of damage to enemies. So this means all you have to do is look at enemies and they have their armor and shields stripped, while also slowing them down. Unfortunately, strength does not increase the slow because it stacks over time, but it increases the rate of armor strip. Oh yeah, if you look at downed allies, you can res them. So there's that. Finally, her fourth ability, Glory on High. Now this is a bloated ability, so listen up. This is where Jade lifts her skirt and ascends into the air while wielding her exalted weapon, which is a secondary. It's a channeling ability, so it drains energy over time. The weapon deals heat damage, and it has 2 firing modes, regular fire and an alternate fire that deals AoE damage. The regular fire is really slow and really needs a lot of fire rate to make it feel usable. However, the alternate fire is where the real damage comes in. Even though the primary fire does not drain energy per shot, the alternate fire does. So yeah, you're going to be consuming quite a lot of energy if you want big damage with Jade. Although you can only use the alternate fire if enemies have judgment marks. And for a nice nuking loop, you want to deploy your first ability in several choke points, and you can spam your alternate fire. Or deploy your one while your third ability is stripping their defenses, and then follow up with an alternate fire to deal massive AoE damage. This AoE damage is affected by both modded range on your frame and primed fulmination. This mod is multiplicative to your range, and the alt fire has no damage fall off, making it a great tool for nuking. There is a copium way of doing this damage loop by using the regular fire to stack up judgment, to then follow up with an alternate fire that does save energy, but it's slow at nuking. Unfortunately, the alternate fire rate cannot be increased by any mods or buffs. You will always have a 1-second delay between each alternate fire activation, and it's also not affected by multi-shot. Another thing is that while you have this ability active, it grants you a maximum of 50% damage reduction. Adding more strength will increase the damage of the Exalted and not the damage reduction. So there's some interesting interactions with her damage scaling using Secondary Outburst. For those who use this on Mesa already know how much damage you get from this, where it grants your secondary critical chance and a critical damage per combo on your melee. And this can synergize with Ceramic Dagger, which gives you initial combo with its incarnate evolution. And since it's a dagger, you can slot in both Corrupt Charge and Covert Lethality, boosting your initial combo even further. I'm not using Vazarin on this melee, so I can't really take advantage of melee crescendo. If you fully stack your combo, you can get a 240% crit bonus. Unfortunately, I can only get it to 180, rivenless, and without melee crescendo. And to activate the Gun and Blade evolution, you want to use a primary weapon that can shred enemies. Unfortunately, Jade's Exalted weapon does not count for the kills on the Gun and Blade perk. So just grab a Torrid or any strong primary, kill enemies to get that 100 times stack. If you manage to perform a few finishers in between while having Crescendo equipped on your melee, you can go to 12 times fairly easily, getting the maximum benefits of the Arcane. Another interesting thing, if you don't want to use finishers but still gain some combo, she can run an aura called Ready Steel. That increases your initial combo on your melees. And the best part is, she has 2 aura slots, so that can help you out a bit. And since Outburst lasts for 30 seconds, to reapply the buff, you would have to deactivate your 4th and reactivate it, as that counts as weapon swapping, because when she is in this mode, she can't use any other weapons except her Exalted. So if you want to increase her damage even more, you will have to do this every 30 seconds. And yes, you can further boost the damage on her secondary with Arcane Avenger, taking you into orange crit territory. I have 2 loadouts for you that utilize her entire kit fully, and both of them don't use a Helminth. For the Archon Shards, I have 2 casting speed shards that greatly improve her animations, but unfortunately does not increase the rate of fire on her alternate fire, and 3 red Archon Shards to boost the strength. So let's take a look at the build, shall we? We're first going to take a look at the balance build, which is not focused on a lot of range, but has some decent synergy, and you can nuke fairly well. So in the auras, I didn't think I'll ever say that. Growing Power for the 25% bonus strength when you proc a stats effect, and Combat Discipline. This damages you when you kill enemies. Why would we use this? Well, simple. It's to activate Arcane Avenger, which is an arcane that grants you 45% crit chance, flat crit chance by the way, on all of your weapons. And of course, Arcane Energize just for the energy replenishment. She is a very energy hungry warframe, especially if you're going to play her as a nuking type of warframe. Strength is coming from my 3 Archon Shards and Transient Fortitude. We do lose some duration with Transient Fortitude, so I'm going to offset that with Primed Continuity. Range is going to be at 175% with Stretch and Augur Reach. This range is actually really important because it increases the radius on her first ability and increases your explosion radius with her alternate fire. Prime Flow for the large energy pool, and Equilibrium, which converts health orbs into energy and energy into health. And finally, for survivability, I have Aviator in the Exilus because she's airborne most of the time, which stacks with her 4th ability damage reduction. And to add on to that damage reduction, I'm also running Adaptation. And this is your balanced, simple build. Now, for the massive nuke, which utilizes a lot more range and slightly less strength, I'll be swapping some mods around. Growing Power is still in the aura, but I have Ready Steel as my second aura. This gives me initial combo on my melee. This does help out increasing your initial combo, boosting Secondary Outburst. Range is at 265% with the addition of Overextended. Unfortunately, Overextended does reduce your strength, so the Archon Shards and Transient Fortitude does help you offset that. But notice I don't have any duration on this build because I decided to increase my strength even more with with Precision Intensify. Again, Precision Intensify will only increase the damage your 4th ability does, and will not increase the damage reduction. So this gives you a total of 230% strength on your 4th ability, greatly boosting your damage output. Hence why this loadout is for massive nuking. For the arcanes, I don't have Arcane Avenger, as I'm heavily depending on my secondary outburst. But to offset the duration loss, I do have Multificiency, and Multificiency is easily maintained thanks to her second ability's shield regen. And that's pretty much it. These are your 2 loadouts. And for her Glory, her Exalted Weapon build, there is no base damage mods on this build. It is modded for your crit chance, crit damage, simple as that, along with a faction damage multiplier to boost your outgoing damage against whatever you're fighting against, and modded for Corrosive and Blast. Blast do be blasting with this new patch. Everything is going to be blowing up, dealing a lot of damage. You could, however, mod this for Corrosive and additional heat, along with the new Pistol Elementalist mod, instead of going with Corrosive and Blast. And no, the reload speed again will not affect your downtime intervals with the alternate fire. And for the secondary I'm using, it's the Grimoire. This Grimoire will of course be equipped with the secondary outburst since it's a secondary weapon, but at the same time, it can boost my strength by 60% using the alternate fire. So you can activate this in the beginning of the mission, get that 60% strength increase to then activate your second ability strength increase to then boost your other abilities.
And for my focus school, I'll be running Zeneric, as this helps us out with certain energy maintenance. For one, it increases the amount of energy when we pick up orbs, and it also has Hardened Wellspring. This grants us a 20% strength increase when we cast our abilities within the Hardened Wellspring. And we're going to use this effect to snapshot a strength buff onto our abilities to then give us even more strength.
And for your companion, you can use whatever sentinel you want, so just use anything that can give you some nice utility. Alright folks, this is Jade with these 2 interesting builds. Hopefully you can try them out, nuke everything, and see how she works. I still find moving around with her 4th ability really slow and not really my cup of tea, but I cannot disagree that she does a lot of damage with her 1 and alternate fire combo. So folks, I do hope you've enjoyed this video and learned something from it, and if you did, please feel free to leave a like, share, and subscribe. For more Warframe content, streams, and so much more, do refer to the description. Thanks for watching, and as always, a peace. Bye-bye now.